Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Friends, let us all study, investigate, and practice the real words of the Buddha. Real words must be understood from the original discourses, not the later works, not from the later works. There are many different translations, many different compositions. But if we want to understand what the Buddha really said, we have to go to the original teachings. We have to study the original discourses of the Buddha. There are discourses like long discourses, middle length teachings of the Buddha, connected discourses of the Buddha, numerical discourses of the Buddha, and minor anthologies. These are the things to be studied. Do our own explorations in order to understand what the Buddha really said. That should be our practice. That should be the way to understand the Dhamma taught by the Buddha. As you all know, this month is a very special month, the month of May. It so happened that Buddha was born, attained full enlightenment, and passed away on the same day, on the full moon day of May, full moon day. He was born 623 BC, attained full enlightenment 588 BCE, and he passed away 543 BCE. That means 2569 years ago, the Buddha passed away. After his attainment of enlightenment, he taught this wonderful teaching, wonderful Dhamma for 45 years for both humans and devas. That is why the Buddha has that particular epithet, which is Sattha Deva Manussanam. Sattha means teacher. Buddha was the teacher of gods and humans. So the Buddha taught this wonderful Dhamma. Every Thursday from 7 to 8:30 at night, we meet here to discuss this wonderful Dhamma. Tonight, our talk number 65. The topic for this talk, this discussion, is What is the escape in case of the 5 aggregates? We all have to understand 5 aggregates clearly. That is why we want to study these discourses. For this purpose, we are going to use 4 different discourses of the Buddha from the connected discourses. Here we are talking about the escape of the 5 aggregates. What are the 5 aggregates? Form, feelings, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness. Buddha simply used the word rupa, form. Unfortunately, our translators have translated the term rupa as material form. No necessary to use a word material, because there are immaterial forms. 5 aggregates. Form of the 5 aggregates, form is not matter, not material. All 5 aggregates are immaterial, mental, not physical. If we take this as physical, 5 aggregates are available only for humans and animals, because other beings such as devas and brahmas, hungry ghosts, they don't have physical body. But Buddha very clearly said, all beings have 5 aggregates. Now let's understand this short discourses. We are going to study these 4 short discourses. Gratification. This was delivered once the Buddha was delving while at Savatthi, Chetas Grove, Anathapindika's park. Addressing the monks, the Buddha said, Bhikkhus, before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, not yet fully enlightened, it occurred to me, what is the gratification? What is the danger? What is the escape in the case of form? What is the gratification? What is the danger? What is the escape in the case of feeling? What is the gratification? What is the danger? What is the escape in the case of perception? What is the gratification? What is the danger? What is the escape in the case of volitional formations? What is the gratification? What is the danger? What is the escape in the case of consciousness? That is what the Buddha contemplated before his enlightenment. So before his enlightenment, as a bodhisattva, he contemplated upon this. Then Buddha says, Then, because it occurred to me, the pleasure and joy that arise in dependence on form, this is the gratification in form. Now you see, I said there are 5 aggregates: form, form aggregate, feeling aggregate, perception aggregate, volitional formation aggregate, and consciousness aggregates. There is a gratification. Means there, whenever something arises, whenever we see something, whenever we hear something, whenever we smell something, whenever we taste something, or tangible, or thinking, we have gratification, we have desire, we have pleasure, we want it, we think that we want it. With that we think that this is mine. We try to grasp as mine, me and myself. Whenever we see things with our perception, we have gratification, we like it, we have desire. That is what the Buddha says here. The pleasure and joy that arise in dependence on form, dependence of form, whatever pleasure and joy arise, this is the gratification. That is the gratification. So the Buddha accepted that there is a gratification. We have to accept that. Because whenever we see something beautiful, something very pretty things, we have desire. We like it. We like it. We have pleasure. That is to be accepted. That is the meaning here. Pleasure and joy arise. That is the gratification in form. It must be there. We cannot simply forget, we cannot simply refuse seeing the objects. We can't refuse. We have to admire things. We have to appreciate things. Because we like it. It is all right. Now, that form is impermanent. Form is impermanent. What we see is impermanent. It's suffering and subject to change. These are the conditions. These are the nature. The form, whatever form, is impermanent, suffering and subject to change. Form, we have to understand clearly what form is. Form means not the form out there, external things, not the external things, but form inside. We take the picture. That picture is within the eye. That is what is called reflection. Reflection of the external form. That reflection is changing. It is impermanent. Not the external things. Buddha did not want us to understand the changing nature of things out there which are formed with 4 elements, which are in Pali called sankhata. Sankhata, whatever form or created with the support of 4 elements: earth, water, fire, air. These are external things. All people, even before the Buddha, people saw the change in nature of other things out there. But they did not see the change in nature inside. Impermanent nature of the form inside. That is the science of the Buddha. Buddha understood this. Buddha understood that it is suffering. Since it is changing, it is suffering. It is subject to change. Subject to change means viparinama. It is subject to change. It is all the time changing. Existing but changing. Changing but existing. That is what is called viparinama. Viparinama in Pali. Buddha said that is the danger. That is the danger in form. Then there's a removal. The removal and abandonment of desire and lust for form. This is the most important thing. Abandonment, removal of desire and lust. If we have desire and lust, that is the problem. Simply seeing the object and appreciating and admiring things is not bad. What is bad is desire and lust to grasp it. That is the problem. That is to be removed. That is to be abandoned. That is the teaching of the Buddha. That is the way to practice. Having seen the object, the Buddha did never attach to them, neither attached nor repelled, but maintained equanimity. That is how the Buddha practiced. And that is what the Buddha taught us. So that removal and abandonment of desire and lust for form is the escape from form. That is the escape. That is what we want to understand. That is the way to practice. Abandonment of desire and lust to the form, feeling, perception, volitional formations and consciousness. All the five aggregates. Five aggregates. Through the eye, through the ear, through the nose, through the tongue, through the body and through the mind. Through six senses. Six senses. Then Buddha said not only form, feeling, perception, volitional formations and consciousness as well. All the five aggregates. Whatever pleasure and joy is the gratification. Impermanence, suffering and subject to change is what is called danger. And then removal, abandonment of desire and lust is the escape. These three are to be understood. Now the Buddha said, as long as I did not directly know as they really are the gratification, the danger and the escape in the case of these five aggregates subject to clinging, I did not claim to have awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment in this world with its devas, maras and Brahma, in this generation with its ascetics and Brahmins, its devas and humans. It's clear. The Buddha did never proclaimed that he was the Buddha as long as he understood clearly these three. What are the three? Gratification of form, the danger of form, and the escape of it. The gratification of feeling, danger of feeling, and escape of feeling. So all the five. Three things to be understood: gratification, danger, and escape. So the gratification, danger, and escape of the five aggregates are to be understood clearly. Gratification is pleasure and joy. Danger is impermanent and suffering subject to change. Escape is removal of desire and lust. But Buddha says, but when I directly knew all this as it really is, then I claim to have awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. That is what the Buddha did. Buddha then said, the knowledge and vision arose in me. Knowledge and vision arose in me. Unshakable is my liberation of mind. This is my last birth. Now there is no more renewed existence, no more birth. That is the first discourse. Now the second one, again on the same topic, gratification. Buddha says, because I set out seeking the gratification in form. I set out. I started. I walked. Seeking the gratification in form. What is the gratification in form? Whatever gratification there is in form, that I discovered. That is what happened. Whatever gratification, I discovered it. I have clearly seen with wisdom just how far the gratification in form extend. I understood the gratification of form. I discovered. Then I discovered the danger in form. I discovered the escape in form. He understood this. I discovered. It's a discovery. It is not an invention. I have clearly seen with wisdom, because I set out seeking the gratification in not only form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, and consciousness. All the five aggregates. Five aggregates, for some people, five aggregates means this body. If you grasp this body as five aggregates, you cannot understand this Dhamma. So the Buddha says, so long because as I did not directly know as they really are, the gratification, the danger, and the escape in the case of these five aggregates subject to clinging, I did not claim to have awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment in this world, with its devas, Mara, and Brahma, in this generation with its ascetics and Brahmins, its devas and humans. But When I directly knew all this as it really is, then I claim to have awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. That is the Buddha's declaration. Then we come to the third discourse of the same topic, gratification. Addressing the monks, the Buddha said, "Bhikkhus, if there were no gratification in form," this is what I said earlier, there should be gratification, there should be pleasure and joy, without which we cannot understand the peril of it, danger of it. We cannot understand the escape. That is why we want to understand this. Now, if there were no gratification in form, Buddha says, if there were no gratification in form, beings would not become enamored with it. Do not grasp, do not delight it. They do not delight. No desire, delight. People should have that. Otherwise, they can't understand this. They can't understand the danger. They do not become enamored with it. But because there is gratification in form, beings become enamored with it. Then, if there were no danger in form, beings would not experience revulsion. If there is no danger, they simply grasp no revulsion, no disenchantment. They have no disenchantment. They don't experience disenchantment. They always enchant. Enchant means they grasp, as they can understand that there is a danger. They do not grasp. Instead, they have disenchantment, revulsion towards it. But because there is danger in form, beings experience revulsion towards it, Buddha said. Then, if there were no escape from form, beings would not escape from it. If there is no escape, they don't escape. But because there is an escape from form, beings escape from it. Escape means release. They are released. Because there is escape. There is release. Not only form, the gratification in feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness as well. Buddha further said, "So learn bhikkhus, as beings have not directly known as they really are the gratification as gratification." This is how to understand. Gratification is to be understood as gratification. Danger as danger. The danger as danger. And the escape as escape in the case of 5 aggregates. Subject to clinging. This is the thing to be understood clearly. Gratification is to be understood as gratification. Danger is to be understood as danger. The escape is to be understood as escape. This means you see things as they really are. That is yatha bhuta jnanam, yatha bhuta, as it is. That is what is called insight. Insight, vipassana. Vipassati, you see true. As you see true, you can understand things as they really are. In order to see true, you have to have mindfulness. Without mindfulness, you cannot see things as they really are. So the Buddha says, these are to be seen as they really are. Escape from form, feeling, perception, personal formation and consciousness. They have not become detached from it. If they do not see this as they are, they do not detach from it. Then they have no release from it. Nor do they dwell with a mind rid of barriers. But when beings have directly known all this as it really is, then they have escaped from this world with its devas and humans. They have become detached from it, released from it, and they dwell with a mind rid of barriers. For this purpose, what is to be done? How to practice? That is the important part. Buddha delivered a discourse named Desire and Lust, addressing the monks. Buddha said, Bhikkhus, abandon desire and lust from form. As I said earlier, whenever this form arises in the eye, we have to observe, we have to understand the form in the eye. That is the form of color. Then we have form of sound through the ear, form of smell. Form of smell, it's a form. Form of taste, form of tangible, form of mind, mental object, as a mental object. That form is to be understood, and there is desire and lust towards the form. What is the purpose? Grasping, attachment, clinging. That is the purpose. Clinging to that as mine, me, myself. If we grasp in such a way, that is what is called craving. In other words, craving. It is because of craving attachment arises. Tanha pacha upadana. It is because of attachment existence arises. Upadana, pacha, bhava. Then we make another cycle and whole mass of suffering arise. So in this discourse, desire and lust, the Buddha says, Bhikkhus, abandon desire and lust from form. Thus that form will be abandoned. Abandon form to your eyes. Cut off at the root, where you are cutting off the form at that desire and lust. You cut off the desire and lust. Cut off at the root. Made like a palm stump obliterated so that it's no more subject to future arising. It will not come again. This form arises referring to what we have done in the past. Many past things pop up. Then we have to start our job. Our task is to cut off this form, this desire and lust towards the object, towards the form, and towards the feeling, perception, volitional formation and consciousness. Abandon desire and lust for feeling, for perception, volitional formations and consciousness. That is the Buddha's advice. Buddha once addressing a young man said how to practice this. Buddha taught him to practice. His name was Hemaka. Hemaka went to the Buddha and said, Bhante, before I came to you, I went to many different teachers. Some of them told me something happened in the past stuff. Something in the past, what happened in the past. Some others said something will happen in the future. Bhante, I don't like this. Please teach me, Bhante, please teach me something to be practiced now, not the past or future. I want to practice now, in the present moment. What is to be done now, right now? Oh, that was his question. Then the Buddha taught him. In short, Buddha taught him what is to be done. This is what is to be done by all of us. This is possible. This is possible. What is the instruction of the Buddha? The kind, compassionate admonition of the Buddha? Dispel desire and lust. Same thing. Same thing to be done. What we talk about. What is that? Desire and lust, whenever it arises, whenever desire and lust arises, whenever craving arises, tanha, trishna, thirst, urge arises, cut it off. Dispel desire and lust, Hemaka, of forms, whatever forms comes. Whatever forms means forms of form, forms to the eye, forms to the ear, forms to the nose, forms to the tongue, forms to the body, and forms to the mind. That is why forms, plural. If you take this body as form, only form is one here. That is why I said that if you grasp five aggregates, grasp this form as five aggregates, you are missing the Dhamma. Forms of what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you tangible, and what you cognize. Those are the forms. Whichever has a pleasing nature, there arises desire and lust. then Buddha's advice here is to dispel it. Do not accept it, abandon it, expel it, dispel it, exterminate it, obliterate it. That is the way to practice. Buddha said, that itself is the state of Nibbana, the imperishable. It's the highest bliss. Friends, this is the real Dhamma taught by the Buddha. Let's all understand this wonderful teachings of the Buddha from the original teachings, original discourses of the Buddha, and put them into practice so that we can experience in our daily life. We can live happily, peacefully, light-heartedly, here, now, in the present moment. Peaceful living, peaceful life, harmless life. Let's live harmless life, peaceful life, righteous living. Just like the lotus came out from the muddy water. It's out there, but it is in this, at the same time, it is connected to the muddy water. It is not disconnected. It is there, but it is above the water, just like the lotus. Let's understand these wonderful teachings of the Buddha and practice this Dhamma in daily life so that we can live happily, peacefully, light-heartedly, and one day we can close eyes peacefully. May we all realize this real peace, real happiness of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.